Wow, what a great book. I have to tell you, what a good book by Ron Paul. About ending the Fed, putting us back on the gold standard. Man, I really like these libertarian ideas. I feel like there's something missing though. I know. I'm gonna look at my books. I'll bet you I have another book to read. Man, these books are good and all. I mean, look at this. Classics, right? The stuff that you need to read. For sure. But I don't think that it's enough. I'm still left wanting more. I think I know what it is. A political party. If only this movement that I just got done reading about had a political party to put the ideas out there and to win in office. Like, I don't know, a party started in the 1970s. That's what we need. If only there was a Libertarian Party. No.
No. No.
Alright, let's come back to Earth here. I'm sure that some of you are wondering what I'm on about. Well, I made a video previously about the GOP, and basically the topic that I put out was that there's a few things that the Liberty Movement can do. We can either infiltrate the GOP, the Republican Party, the neocon caucus, if you want to call them that, or we can join the Libertarian Party and make Liberty win that way. There's also options 3 and 4 that I'll go into in a later video, but for now we're going to focus on the Libertarian Party. What I think of it, what it is, what it's about, and yeah, if it's a good avenue to move forward with. So let's hop right into it. People also ask, are libertarians left and right? Hey, a lot of us are asking that question too. Can libertarians be left-wing? Well, I have an answer for that. Not if you're a real libertarian. Like me. But we'll go ahead and hop on into it. Let's see what Wikipedia says, and then we'll actually look at the Libertarian Party website. The Libertarian Party is a political party in the United States that promotes civil liberties, non-interventionism, laissez-faire capitalism, and limiting the size and scope of government. The party was conceived in August 1971 at meetings in the home of David F. Nolan in Westminster, Colorado, and was officially formed on December 11, 1971 in Colorado Springs, Colorado. The founding of the party was promoted in part due to concerns about the Nixon administration, the Vietnam War, conscription, and the introduction of fiat money. Chairperson, Joe Bishop Henchman, who does not have a Wikipedia page? Interesting. Well, before I even look at the Libertarian Party website, I think it best for me to look up this Joe Bishop Henchman and see what I can find about him on good old Big Tech, our best friend. On Facebook, Joe Bishop Henchman, Vice President, Tax Policy and Litigation at National Taxpayers, lives in Washington, D.C., married to Ethan Bishop Henchman, followed by 1,519 people. And since we were around in a lot of the same circles, 338 mutual friends. Most recent post, as Joe Bishop Henchman of the National Taxpayers Union Federation, one of the great state tax thinkers, put it, this law is a product of sentiment, not good tax policy making. Truer words were never spoken. The idea that it is good to stick to big tech companies in California is politics, not sound tax policy. Okay. Page. Joe Bishop Henchman. 1,919? 20 people like him total. On Twitter, Joe Bishop Henchman, JB Henchman. Following 2,046 people, followed by 7,384 people. But I don't want to jump to conclusions. Maybe he's also on small tech platforms. So let's look at Gab. Error fetching search results. Not necessarily surprising, but let's try Parler. Joe Bishop Henchman, no search results. Well, I mean, there's an error on one and none on the other. So apparently he's not on those, he's only on big tech. Well, I don't know anything about the guy to speak of, and I gotta say, so this is the problem. Before I even go to the website of the Libertarian Party, I don't know much about Joe Bishop Henchman. The thing is, I kind of wish that I did, even as like a negative thing, because I remember days of Nick Sarwark, and yeah, I had a negative experience with the things that I read from him. More left-leaning, more, as far as things like pro-diversity, more like government pro-diversity or liberal pro-diversity, things like Gary Johnson saying, oh, well, of course they should bake the cake, for the gay couple. Let's just how it is, frankly. I would like to see some people display competence before they drive. Of course, driver licenses are good and valid. This is a rule for the government. And then, he kind of made this face while people were booing. Not necessarily the kind of influence I'd like to see in the Libertarian Party. So we'll get into that a little bit more. Libertarian Party, LP.org. Affiliate inbox contest. Libertarian Party of Indiana. So a bunch of news so far. Spike Cohen, who I voted for in 2020, along with Joe Jorgensen. Spike Cohen being the vice presidential candidate and Joe Jorgensen being the presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. I didn't think that either Trump or Biden were within my values, so I voted for them. So I have voted for the Libertarian Party. I've also voted for Constitutionalist, and I voted Independent. I've voted Republican before. So let's continue to look here at the Libertarian Party. Get involved, shop, join, donate. Why not just Libertarian Party? Also, there's a place where you can stay informed and they'll send you email for an emailing list, which I believe that I'm already on. I will tell you, I am part of the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus, which I enjoy. The Libertarian Party Mises Caucus chair is Michael Heiss. There's links to his FB profile and his email. David Hines is the secretary and board member. Content officer and a board member, Stephen Clyde, who I've talked to briefly. And a list of other names that strike me as familiar. Board member in California, organizer Angela McCardle. I do know who that is. Board member Tom Woods, of all people. A really cool guy. Treasurer Kyle Burton. So, yeah, the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus is a lot of good folks. People whose names strike you as familiar. People that you follow and listen to. So there's a lot of familiar faces in the Libertarian Party. But let's get down to it. Is this a good vehicle for liberty to move through? Or are the other alternatives better? So we're going to go into that a little bit. So right off, I think I should say, I'm not a big fan of how the Twitter runs itself. I am not happy about Facebook posts like this. And I voted for Spike Cohen, but frankly, did not agree with this at all. This does not need to be the focus. I get it. There's an argument to be made for people that are minorities needing to be protected. I get that completely. The smallest minority, though, is the individual. We should be going after individual rights, not things like trans rights or any LGBT rights. Now, if there's an individual who is LGBT, we should make sure that he has a rights as a free human being to engage in commerce, life, liberty, and property, which is kind of the Lockean concept. But we should not treat them as groups. There are no such thing as group rights. This is what Murray Rothbard talks about. There are individual rights. And we cannot treat people as groups because then they will try to behave as, well, my group is doing this, so I'm going to do what my group is doing. And that is collectivism. And we know from Hayek that collectivism always leads to totalitarian government. So there is baggage. There are things that need to be gotten over, obstacles the party would need to go around. But parties can do that. Parties can say, yeah, we did this and we apologize. Yeah, we did this. It's not the right call. So it's not insurmountable. But what would need to change? What would it need to happen in order for this to be better? So someone that would actually communicate the message clearly and someone that's not overtly left-leaning, I think is a big part of it. No Nick Sarwarks. And it goes back to Joe Bishop Henchman. I said that I'd talk about him a little bit more. The problem that I think is going on is he's not done a whole lot of talking. Now, that can be a good thing. Actually, I personally prefer a strong, silent type. I would like to have a Ron Swanson in office. Now, that's a caricature. I don't mean literally him, but someone very quiet, very intelligent. I make no secret that I like President Calvin Coolidge, and he was a man. He was sitting at a dinner one time, and a lady was sitting next to him, and she was carving at her food, he was carving at his, and she said, hey, I'm running a bet with my husband that I can get you to say 3 words together. And he turned with his knife, was cutting, and he turned and looked at her and said, you lose. And the rest of the dinner, he was completely quiet. He was a very, very strong, steady type. I prefer that to Trump style of showboating and talking loud and this is what we are, we're going to make America great again. I'd rather have a Calvin Coolidge who is quieter, or a Ron Paul or a Rand Paul, someone that is calm, decent, even-tempered. That's what I prefer. With Joe Bishop Henchman, we haven't really seen that, though. We've seen a lot of encouragement of factions of the party. This is what it gets me to. There's a lot of people in the Libertarian Party. I've seen them quite often. Exhibit A. Exhibit B.
Jeff Wood especially was walking around. We're going to get the photo on screen for this.
All right.
Waving a double-ended dildo, green on one side. So green vote yes, red vote no.
And Exhibit C.
Well, ironically enough, I actually discovered libertarianism through Ron Paul. So at one point in my activist career, brief moment. I even like was identifying as an ANCAP. So, but as things progressed, I just discovered more cool ideas. And while I was going through all that, I served in several leadership roles. So my first like big break was serving as chair of Outright Libertarians, which is the Gender and Sexual Minority Caucus Party.
And thank you to Adam versus the Man for doing those interviews because it was necessary to do. But yeah, not the face of the party I want to see. I want the party to look more like this.
Because essentially you're talking about taking collective action, right?
Yeah.
And this is kind of anathema to the Libertarian cause. But I mean, the Libertarian Party is made up of sincere individuals. These people really want limited government. A lot of these people are victims of the state. People that have been harmed, whether they've been persecuted in their communities for doing things like homeschooling, or maybe they want to drink raw milk, right? Maybe they want to have the ability to sell that, right? Amish farmers and things like that. So it's kind of easy to poke fun at the people like the naked guy, but the thing is that the news often doesn't go in and cover the tales of the single mothers who are being harmed because their tax rates are so high that it's hard for them to feed their kids.
Wow. Great face for the party. I don't want this liberal part of the Libertarian Party or this libertarian socialist part of the Libertarian Party. Capitalism is based on human greed and exploitation. Socialism is all about peace and people doing what they want. The true freedom is socialist. By the way, libertarian socialism, an oxymoron. It's like saying, man, I took up this glass and I drank it and it was very, very dry water.
Never kneel into the state. Fallacies I do slay. Not an argument, back away.
If you're drinking dry water, something is wrong with you. If you're a libertarian socialist, something is wrong with you. Plain and simple. So to wrap up, a couple of choices. Libertarian Party or the Republican Party, and I'll get into why each one of those have horrible disadvantages in a video where I talk about my own personal opinion on this. But in the meantime, stay tuned for the third video, which is going to be about the third option. Not voting. Hi there. If you haven't run shrieking in horror from watching this channel, then maybe you should consider subscribing to it. And since my last long video, I've been doing more than sitting on my butt waiting for Jesus to come back. I've been working very hard, actually, working on setting up social media accounts, which you will see here and also in the description of this video. So you should consider following me there, and I'll catch you on the next upload. I'm the renowned reviewer, the comedic curator of libertarian laughter.